My wife, Emily, laughed the moment the judge's pen touched the divorce papers. The courtroom was silent, but her laugh sliced through the air like a blade, sharp, mocking, victorious. She didn't even look at me when she turned away, only tossed her hair back and whispered to her lawyer, loud enough for me to hear. He was holding me back anyway. I stood there, pretending her words didn't bruise anything inside me. Pretending this wasn't the woman I once planned a lifetime with. Pretending I wasn't watching a version of her I didn't recognize. She walked out with quick, confident steps, heels tapping like a celebration march, while I stayed behind simply because I needed a moment to breathe. 3 years of marriage ending with a laugh. That was her goodbye. Outside the courthouse, she didn't wait for me. She didn't even offer a last cold glance. She hopped into a sleek black car, someone else's car, and left as if the last few years meant nothing. I didn't chase her. I didn't ask questions. Whatever she had already chosen had nothing to do with me anymore. The first few weeks after the divorce were quiet, too quiet. My apartment felt like an abandoned place, stripped of her perfume, her arguments, her chaos. I spent my days working long hours and my nights trying to remember who I was before her. Before I let her decisions define my worth. Before I believed her when she said I wasn't ambitious enough or exciting enough. 9 months passed. I rebuilt everything she once mocked. My confidence, my stability, my direction. I stopped living in the leftovers of our marriage and started creating something new. Something mine. And that's when fate decided to be playful. I was attending a business conference at a high-end hotel, something I never would have done when Emily and I were together. Mostly because she always told me I didn't fit in that world. But there I was, shaking hands with people who respected me, presenting ideas that earned nods instead of sighs. I didn't know Emily was at the same hotel. I didn't know her life had fallen apart. I didn't know that the moment she saw me again, 9 months after laughing at our end, her face would pale, her confidence would crack, and regret would prick her eyes like needles. But that moment was coming. When I stepped into the hotel lobby after my final presentation, I felt lighter than I had in years. Success has a strange calm to it. Steady, grounded. Nothing like the frantic approval chasing I did during my marriage. I was walking toward the elevator when I heard a familiar voice behind me, one I hadn't expected to hear in this lifetime again. Daniel. I froze, not because of the name but because of the tone. It wasn't mocking. It wasn't dismissive. It was uncertain. I turned around slowly and there she was. Emily. But not the same Emily who laughed in court. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged like she had rushed to put it on or cried it off earlier. She looked smaller somehow, as if life had trimmed away all the arrogance she used to carry like a crown. She stared at me, eyes wide, scanning me like she couldn't believe what she was seeing. My tailored suit, the conference badge, the quiet confidence she never allowed me to feel around her. It all hit her at once. "You look different," she whispered. "I am," I replied simply. She stepped closer, almost timid. "I didn't know you were speaking here. I thought you moved away." "No. I just moved on." The words landed exactly the way I intended. Her lips trembled slightly. We stood there for a long second. The hotel lobby buzzing around us while the reality between us tightened like a thread pulled too hard. Finally she spoke again. "Can we talk? Just for a moment." I didn't owe her anything. Not conversation. Not closure. Not comfort. But something in her tone wasn't desperate for attention. It was desperate for truth. And maybe after everything, hearing it wouldn't hurt. We stepped outside to the terrace. She wrapped her arms around herself, as if shielding from a cold only she could feel. "I made mistakes," she began. "I thought leaving you would make my life better. That being with someone more exciting, more powerful, would give me what I wanted." Her words were shaky, battling between pride and regret. "It didn't," she said finally, her voice cracking. "Everything I thought I wanted fell apart." I didn't say anything. I just watched her battle with the consequences of her own decisions. "He left after 2 months, she confessed. "Said I wasn't worth the drama. And then everything else started slipping too." She looked at me then, eyes wet, searching for the man she once knew. But he wasn't there anymore. I took a slow breath, letting her words hang between us. For years I had carried the hurt, the disbelief, the quiet anger that came from being laughed at in the courtroom. And now 9 months later she was the one carrying the weight. Emily, I finally said, my voice calm, steady. I won't lie. What you did hurt. A lot. But I've learned something these past months. I've learned that my worth isn't tied to anyone's opinion. Not yours. Not anyone's. She flinched slightly, as if the truth was too sharp to bear. I know. I see it now. I didn't know how much I lost until I saw you today. I let the silence stretch. There was no immediate satisfaction in seeing her falter. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about the quiet, undeniable truth. The life I had rebuilt for myself, the confidence I had reclaimed, the respect I had earned. It all existed without her. And she knew it. You moved on, she whispered, almost a question. I moved forward, I corrected. And forward is exactly where I'm staying. Alone, or with someone who respects me. Not someone who laughs at me when I trusted them most. Her gaze dropped to the terrace floor. I could see the flicker of regret, the realization that the years she spent trying to prove something to herself had only left her empty. She had mocked my stability, my patience, my quiet resilience, but she had underestimated how far I could rise without her. I made a mistake, she murmured again. A huge one. I know, I said softly. And you'll carry it, because this isn't something I'll fix. You'll live with the consequences. She nodded slowly, the fight in her eyes gone. That arrogant, untouchable Emily was gone. All that remained was someone learning too late that some things can't be taken back. And I, for the first time in months, felt no bitterness, only relief. Relief that I had finally stepped out of the shadow of her cruelty. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We didn't shake hands or exchange pleasantries. We just stood there, two people who once shared everything, now defined entirely by the choices we had made. And in that quiet, unbearable truth, I realized the final victory wasn't in her regret. It was in the life I had rebuilt for myself, free from her laughter, free from her games, and full of the respect I had always deserved. I turned, walking back toward the conference hall, leaving Emily to her thoughts, her mistakes, and the echo of a laugh that once cut me deeply but now reminded me only of how far I had come.